I've played worse. Jumping heavy kicks, standing heavy kicks, and crouching heavy kicks. If you're using Foxy Roxy, this is all you need to do for the first half of the game. When you get to match 6, you unlock spinning attack when you win that match. This move is unblockable and does a good amount of damage. You spam this for the rest of the game, and then that's it. Now, I know that sounds lame as heck, but that's exactly the problem. It's very boring, and there is no way I'm going to upload this without at least trying to commentate over this long play. But with that being said, I did make a really in-depth guide on GameFaqs. So if you want to know the ins and outs of this game, in which I go really in-depth with the game's mechanics, then you can check it out in the link in the description. With that being said, on to the long play.
There you go. Hoi.
Hello, it's Zachary1021, and today I'm going to be commentating over my no-death run of Brutal Paws of Fury for the Sega Genesis. So obviously the first thing I'm going to do is change the difficulty level. There's a lot of difficulties in this game, but the highest difficulty is 6th Dan, and that's what I'll be choosing. Now for this playthrough, I'm pretty sure the guide section was going to be very short, so for this part I'm going to actually cover the characters as we go on, as we face each character in this game, so that you can get some idea on how to deal with them and what they can do. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. Now, you gotta start a new character. This is where you enter your name, and this name will appear above your life bar for the rest of the game. Now, I should quickly mention that I did a cheat code at the title screen, so you might have heard Sega during that, and the cheat code lets you pick the last boss. I won't be doing that, but I just want to show that he is playable. So we have 7 characters, 8 characters if you include the boss, and the first is Kung Fu Bunny, Prince Leon, Tai Cheetah, Ray Rat, Kendo Coyote, Foxy Roxy, Ivan the Bear, and if you do the cheat code at the title screen, you're able to play as Dalai Lama. So for this playthrough, I'm going to be picking Foxy Roxy because... Okay, look, I already know what I'm going to pick for the thumbnail of this video, so if I want to stay true to it, then I have to pick her. But with that being said, let's get straight into it. Now, the first opponent is Tai Cheetah. The name of the opponent will always be Juanimator, if I'm pronouncing that right. But, the AI in this game is something else, and for each of these fights I'm going to go over them really quickly, or at least during the fight, and I'm going to talk about how to deal with them. And of course, for the most part, you just do jump heavy attacks and standing or crouching heavy attacks. Alright, so here's the first battle. If I didn't mention it already, heavy attacks in this game are unblockable. The only time they aren't unblockable is if you do them while jumping, as you see here. So I'm jumping in with a heavy attack, and then I'm landing with a standing heavy attack, which the opponent cannot block. Now, as broken, or I should say, as overpowered as that sounds, if you block, if you were like, wow, I can't English. If you were blocking when a heavy attack hits you, it actually does considerably less damage than if you wasn't blocking. So if you was blocking the attack, you'd take a tiny bit, but if you wasn't blocking, you'd take a lot of damage. So as you can see here, I'm trying to be really aggressive because Tai Cheetah really loves to spam his unblockable attacks. In fact, his 3 main attacks is unblockable. So for this fight, you want to just go ham on him, just do a lot of jump attacks, a lot of standing heavy attacks, and do not give him a chance to breathe. If you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. He'll start doing all of his unblockable attacks back to back, and it's gonna be hard to make a comeback. So what's pretty cool about this game, which is not much to say, is that after you win or lose, it actually shows a results screen about like punches, kicks, throws. I don't know how throws count since only 2 characters from my knowledge have a throw in this game. One of them being Ray Rat, which is what we're about to fight right now. But yeah, you get a status screen for winning or losing, and it shows like all of the attacks and like where you got hit at, which is pretty cool for what this game is. So here's the second fight. Ray Rat is pretty interesting. He likes to taunt a lot for some reason compared to the other computers. All of the computers taunt, but he taunts the most in my opinion, at least from what I've seen. Now again, what you want to do is spam your heavy attacks. As you can see, I'm walking forward and spamming crouching heavy kick. And if you're using Foxy Roxy, then honestly all you need is kicks, because you can do special moves with just a 3-button controller, and with a 3-button controller you only have access to kicks, and you have to press start to get access to your punches and to like switch back and forth. And I don't know if there's a way to pause the game while you have a 3-button controller. So while it is like, I guess, normal that you can switch between punches and kicks, it's a bit screwed that you have to finish the round in order for the game to like stop and pause. Because as you see here soon, or if you haven't already noticed in the Tai Cheetah fight, when you beat an opponent in a round or you lose a round, you can actually watch the replay or skip it. And this is the only time the game pauses if you're on a 3-button controller. If you're on 6 buttons, you have all of your 3 punches and kicks, and start pauses the game, obviously. So yeah, with Ray Rat, just abuse him with heavy attacks non-stop. This is something you have to do for a lot of the game, because you don't start with special moves in one-player mode. Now in the Super Nintendo version, you have access to all of your special moves. Like, as you go through the game in that version, they teach you how to do them, like every 2 fights, like in this version. But if you already know how to do the move in the Super Nintendo version, then you can start doing them from stage 1. And that fact alone makes the Super Nintendo version more bearable in my opinion, because man, it's a mess. That like, in this version specifically, you just have to spam heavy attacks because you have no special moves. And this is definitely true because the first special move we're going to learn is Taunt, and you'll see that in a bit after I take out Ray Rat. Now, if you haven't noticed, it takes a very, very long time to defeat these opponents. And the reason is because they block a lot. You're constantly jumping in on them with heavy attacks, you're doing your standing heavy attacks or your crouching heavy attacks. But they're blocking a lot. Alright, before I go on with that, so here's the first move you learn, it's a taunt. Okay, like, one thing I gotta say about this game, Foxy Roxy is a fan favorite. I could think of a few reasons why she is, but I don't want to get into it, so I'll just leave it at that. So you learn a move every 2 matches, and the first move you learn for every character, no matter who you pick, will always be Taunt, and it restores a bit of your health. And the amount of health you get depends on which character you're using. Now, for Ivan the Bear, you wanna delay your light attacks. You can use heavy attacks here if you want, and it'll work just as well. But if you're trying to like actually get this match over with, then you wanna spam light kicks. But delay them. Like, don't do them back to back like really fast, because he would just keep blocking it. If you delay them and time it well, he would try to hit you in between them. And because your attack is coming out really fast, you actually hit him before his attack comes out, therefore making this match much faster than usual. But yeah, as I was saying, so you start with no moves in this version of the game, and this is what you have to do in order to get through it, because if you're not spamming... Okay, if you're spamming heavy attacks, the computer is gonna block it a lot, and because they're in blocking animation, they're taking very little damage, so it takes a long time to win. If you're not spamming heavy attacks, they will just show you no mercy. Unlike you, they have all of their special moves available, and because of that, they can easily destroy your health bar in like a matter of seconds. So coming up is Prince Leon. This fight is actually really easy, and you're about to see why, and it's mainly because of his stage. So as you can see, I'm pushing him forward, and then watch this. So in Leon's stage, you can actually fall off the edge, and that counts for the left side and the right side. So if you just push him off with your light attacks, then he goes down really fast because you're pushing him back so far and so fast, and he just falls off the stage like that. So as long as you push him back, Leon's really easy. They're actually the easiest character to deal with, like next to Ivan the Bear. Now if you don't do that, he has a lot of moves that can push you back and can get really annoying, so you gotta watch out for that. Now the next move you'll learn is Whiplash Kick. If you haven't noticed, the moves come out when you release the button, so I pressed B, C there and held it, and when I let go, the move came out. Now, Whiplash Kick, I'm not going to use because even though the move has good range, the damage is really low and it's not an unblockable, so there's not much use, especially against the CPU. So coming up is Kendo Coyote. This guy does not know how to stand still. He'll go all over the screen with his cannonball and spinball attacks, and it will become a mess if you do not get the pressure on him. Which is exactly what I'm doing now. As you can see, I'm spamming low heavy kicks. Now, during this playthrough, I was a bit skeptical on like I wasn't sure how to go through with it. On one hand, I wanted to try and do different stuff to make it interesting and not spam the same move over and over and over. As you can see, I'm doing light kicks. When I really shouldn't be doing that. I should just stick to heavy kicks if I really want to like beat the game efficiently. But because I'm like doing it, he's trying to like hit me in between them with his light kicks, his light sweeps and whatnot. And as you can see, he's doing his cannonball and spinball attacks like back to back. It's really annoying. Thankfully, both of these attacks are blockable because you have the one where he goes all over the screen, and then you have the one where he goes straight forward in the line. But that one's really fast and it's hard to react to. But the one when he goes around the screen, as long as you see it coming, you could get ready to block it, so it's not that big of a problem. So I should mention this now, but with Foxy Roxy, the goal is that you wanna spam heavy attacks until you get your third move. Now, of course, that won't happen until stage 6, after we beat stage 6. So pretty much by the time you get halfway through the game, that's when you actually get the move that makes this game much more bearable. And I don't... Okay, like, look at this, alright? What do you want me to say? All you have to do is spam heavy attacks. It's so freaking boring. But like, I don't know what else you want me to do. Because if you try to play the AI legit, they just dance all over your grave and like, it's not fun. So you either, so pretty much if you try to have fun with the game, you end up losing. But if you play the game in the most boring way possible, which is what you're seeing right now, then it's actually easy to win as long as you know how to do it consistently. And I hate that. Like, okay, Slaughter Sport is an awful game. I don't think I ever want to play that game again. I don't, like, even if someone beat my speed run or whatever, I don't ever want to play that game again. But at least when it came to fixing the CPU in that game, like, there was some sort of different tactics. Like, I had to do something different for some of them. But yeah, this game is just, oh boy. Anyways, the last thing I'm gonna do is go on a rant, so let me calm down. Alright, so here's stage 6. This stage is freaking awful. And you can already see why, because the screens, the blinds, whatever you want to call it, gets in the way of the fight and you can barely see what's going on. It's really confusing. And it doesn't help that you're facing the AI, so of course they can see no problem, but you can't. Now, thankfully, the strategy of... I shouldn't even call this a strategy. Spamming your heavy attacks makes this pretty easy because you're doing one thing, so it's not that hard to follow what's happening on screen. I'm kind of getting smoked up here. I don't know if I'm pretty sure I lose one of these rounds. And I surprisingly won that round. But yeah, this stage is awful. Facing Foxy Roxy herself isn't too bad. Like, she can zip around the stage if you don't spam your attacks, but I feel like she's a bit easier than Kendo Coyote. Just a bit. Because even though she can go nuts and one of her attacks is unblockable, the one way she spins, at least you can sort of do something about it. Now, I think in this round I lose, but the reason was because, like, again, I tried to mix it up. Like, I was trying to do different attacks, and it's not working. I just have to keep spamming heavy attacks because there's no other way to play this game against the AI. Like, if you want to have an easier time beating this game, just pick Ivan the Bear. He has the hardest hitting heavy punch in the game, and his jump heavy kick is really good, and the second move he learns, the move after taunt, it's not blockable, but if you keep spamming it, sometimes the CPU will stop blocking it, and you end up dealing a lot of damage in between, like, spamming the move. So yeah, you can see right here, I'm spamming crouching heavy kicks. You have to do this. Like, there might be another way. Maybe like with Ivan the Bear, how I was slightly mistiming my light kicks so that I could hit him while he's trying to fight back. But like, look at this game, man. It's screwed up. Okay, look. Obviously, there's not much to commentate on since I'm doing the same exact thing over and over and over again. So maybe try to talk about the positives of this game, or the lack thereof. So, I kinda like the results screen. It's really cool to see the moves you did, how many times you did them, the accuracy, the parts of the body you hit. I don't know if that affects dizzy or damage, but that's a cool feature. The cast of characters is alright. In the manual, they have their own backstory. They have some kind of reason to be in this tournament. So that's pretty cool. And like, the graphics is fine, I guess. I think they look better in the Super Nintendo version. But I'm so distracted by the sounds and music of this game that, like, it just pulls me out of it, and it gets really jarring to hear over and over again. And that's kind of it for the positives. Like, this is really one of those games where I'd play it with a friend and like laugh for a bit, and not play it in any other way. So now here comes the third move you unlock, which is spinning attack. It's back C. So this is the first move where we don't have to like press two buttons at the same time. And this is a move that lets you win the game. And the reason is because up to now, we had to spam heavy attacks. And as I said earlier, when a heavy attack is blocked, it does very little damage. Even though it's unblockable, it still does a tiny bit of damage if the opponent was trying to block it. Spin attack is unblockable as well. But unlike your regular heavy attacks, it actually does a good amount of damage if the opponent was blocking. And you're about to see that happen right here. So if you can learn to spam it endlessly, you can breeze through the rest of the game with ease. Perfect. It was really easy to do. Just press back C and get ready to do it again when it ends. And you can beat all of the CPUs this way. Now, good time for me to mention Kung Fu Bunny. He loves spamming his flash kick. In fact, all three of his main moves is a flash kick. And thankfully, you can actually duck these, unless you're using maybe Ivan the Bear, which you can't. But otherwise, if you're using someone like Foxy, you can duck them and try to sweep him out of the flash kick. And once you sweep him, you can try to get your loop going again with the spin attack, and then you're good to go. Now, this is the part where I guess I could go back to talking about the game, because coming up is two repeats, which is Tai Cheetah and Ray Rat. And you can pretty much do what you did in the first two matches. With Tai Cheetah, just show no mercy, go all aggressive. And with Ray Rat, he likes to taunt a lot, so just go nuts with your heavy attacks. And because we have spin attack this time, they are much easier since we could... Well, I should say they're much easier since we could keep spamming it against them. Now, so yeah, the positives, like, you know, the game has a decent roster. The graphics is okay. The result screen is pretty cool. The game has replays, which is a nice feature. And it has, like, some kind of interesting plot. It's not the best thing out there, but it's something. It's more than I could say for, like, some fighting games that came out around the time, though I could be wrong. But other than that, like, this game really isn't good. Like, if you want to mess around and play with it, it's fine, but other than that, it's not really worth your time. Unless you're, like, really curious on the endings or something. I could talk about rolling attack, but you don't need to move at this point because the spin attack is way better. Even though rolling attack is fast, it's still blockable, and you don't really need it at this point since spin attack is a much better option. But yeah, this game kind of sucks. And I'll say it again, like, Slaughter Sport is an awful game too. Dare I say it's a much worse game. But when it came to facing the AI, the CPU in that game, I sorta had to, like, there's some kind of unique way to beat them. With the exception of the second half where you just spam the freeze items and have max attack power. But with this game, you have to do the same thing over and over again. And it's no different than when you pick, like, Ivan the Bear or Kendo Coyote. You just have to keep spamming your cheap, unblockable attacks against the AI. Because if you don't, they will just destroy you. And it's just, it becomes a very boring experience, and it feels like a test of patience rather than, like, a challenging game. Because usually, the challenge comes from, like, using everything you've learned as you go on with the game, or using your like blocking well, landing your attacks, trying to punish moves that the opponent did that didn't land, and stuff like that. This game doesn't have much of that since it's so screwed up. Now, I'm gonna stop ranting. This is the final boss, Dalai Lama. Now, in true final boss fashion for a fighting game, he's as cheap as ever. And even though I'm destroying him right here, trust me, if you let him get 1 or 2 hits in, it'll be over so fast. And the reason is because he has a move called Smoke Attack, in which he travels a certain distance, hits you, it's unblockable, and it also does a lot of damage, similar to the spinning attack I'm doing right now. But unlike the spinning attack, it's invincible. So if he starts doing this towards you, it becomes very difficult to get out of it. Watch this round right here. What just happened? Now, I'm thankful that I wasn't recording while playing because, man, I think I was speechless because I saw it coming. The minute he got 2 hits on me, I knew it was over. Like, there was nothing I could do. Maybe there was something I could do, but like I said again, not only is Smoke Attack invincible and you can't hit him out of it, but it's also unblockable, so you just have to jump. But if he does it while you're getting up, there's little you can do. Thankfully, the game's over. You just spam spin attack on him just like everyone before him. Or I should say the few opponents that was before him. And before it gets to the ending, the game will teach you one last move. Using masterfully aimed powerful special. Get the heck out of here. So this move is kind of useless. It does 2 heavy kicks and a whiplash kick. You can just do those moves on your own, so it's not worth using. Anyways, I'm gonna stop my rant here. I could not commentate over this game. I apologize if I sounded annoying, but this game is just really that bad to play. So anyways, here's all the endings of the game, and I'll catch you on my next long play, so I'll see you later.